Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA veteran Amir Khillah. Amir, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good. Amir, you defeated Dom O'Grady at Impact Fight League 45. How did you feel about your performance in the fight?
Well, a W is a W, and that's a good thing, but there's some areas of my game that I'd like to improve. My coaching staff and myself are going to be reviewing tape and going from there.
Amir, during the fight, you kind of jumped around and, were raising your hands and stuff after there was a lot of histrionics going on in the fight. What exactly were you trying to accomplish? Were you trying to get the crowd behind you? Were you trying to influence the judges? And what exactly were you trying to do?
A little bit of everything. Obviously, you want to keep that mental edge. You want to kind of let your opponent know that you're ahead on the scorecards. Also affirm that fact in the judges' minds, as well as get the crowd excited. As long as there's some kind of polarization in the crowd, that's a good thing. Either they're excited about what's going on, or they dislike it, but at least they have an opinion and they're watching the fight and they're excited about it one way or the other.
Well, one time after you were doing that, he actually connected and dropped you. What was going through your mind? Like, oh my God, I need to recover real fast because I'm going to look like a fool if he finishes me. Was that going in your mind?
Well, you try to keep things positive during the fight in your head, and you just kind of make sure that you, even if you're in some kind of danger, you just work on a way of getting out of it and just improving your position. Always stay positive. Just try to find the way out. That's all.
He took your back in the first round. After the fight, he said his arms kind of got tired. Did you feel that he was kind of slowing down when he was trying to lock in a choke? And how close were you to being finished?
No, Dom's a really tough guy. He felt strong the whole way through. Obviously, I think he mentioned something in the post-fight interview about gassing his arms out a little bit in the chokes. He was applying those chokes. A lot of them were deep. Just felt confident that I could fight my way out of it. But yeah, he's a really tough guy. He can go 5 rounds. He's proven that in the past. A few fights of his have been 5-rounders. So no, Dom's a really, really tough guy, and he was strong the whole way through.
After the fight, what was going through your mind? Were you really confident that you were going to get a decision, or were you kind of like, hey, this could go either way? Because he did some good things in the first round. The second round could have gone either way, and the third round was yours. What was going on in your head?
No, I'm with you on that. I was certain that he won the first round, and that's kind of why I opened up the gap and started, giving everything I had to him. Nothing away from Dom. He's a really super tough guy. I threw everything at him, and he was still standing at the end. It was really hard to finish him. But yeah, second round was iffy. Really could have went either way. Third round, I felt confident, and generally, what you see with judges, the impression that they get in the last part seems to overshadow the rest of the fight. So I was fairly confident that we'd walk away with a decision. But he did a great job that first round. Had me in a lot of trouble for most of the round.
Were you watching Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz, UFC 44 before that fight? Because when he dropped down for a heel hook, you started spanking him. What was that all about?
To be honest with you, Mike, 100% honest, I don't remember a whole lot of the fight, especially moments like that. A lot of it is just kind of showmanship and working the crowd, and really don't know what was going on through my head. It really didn't mean any type of disrespect. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to let him know that it's going to be real hard for him to finish any kind of submissions on me. Really confident with my submission game, submission defense too. But yeah, like I said, it's just showmanship and working the crowd. No disrespect intended there.
What does a fight like this do for you? Because he's a champion and king of the cage. What does a fight like this do for you? I mean, you've got a pretty good win streak going on. Where do you see yourself going next?
I have to talk to my management team and my wife and my family and my training partners and figure it out. Dom is a super good fighter. Obviously, he's a king of the cage champ. He's a seasoned vet. It means a lot to me. This one means a lot to me. Every win's great, but especially this one. However, my wife and I are expecting our first child next month. So it's going to be a balancing act. I'm going to need to talk to some of my friends that are fighters and that have children and
You coach a lot of guys. Who coaches you when you're ready for your fights?
Jeremy and I have a pretty unique situation. We're really good friends, and depending on who has the fight, we trade places as coach and athlete. I helped him get ready for his last few fights, and he's my manager and trainer. So when I have a fight coming up, he's the boss, and he comes up to Kalamazoo and does a lot of his training camps. And when he's here, I feed him, he eats what I give him, get his weight down, he trains according to my schedule, and it just depends on who has a fight coming up, who's in charge of the training program at that point.
How much do you spend in Utah at his gym, and how much time do you spend at your gym? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? What exactly would the percentage be where you're in Kalamazoo or in Utah?
I spend a lot more time in Kalamazoo than I do in Salt Lake, but like I said, he's got the exact same situation, minus the baby, of course, back home, where he's running his gym at Elite Performance Utah, and he's also, managing and training these guys, and he's always traveling to corner guys or do seminars. So it really just depends on what both of our schedules mesh up to be, where we do the training camp, whether it's going to be Utah or Kalamazoo.
You have experience at 155. You've also fought at 170. Where do you think is the best weight class for you to be in? Is it 155, 170? Because this last fight, I think it was a 175 catch weight or something like that.
Mike, I love to eat, man. I've been having. It's been hard for me to get down to 55 anymore, especially with everything that's going on, and with my wife being pregnant. It was a good day if I could convince her to go out for one meal before she got pregnant. Now, by the time we're done with that meal, she's already asking where we're going to go eat next. So maybe after the baby gets here, I'll be able to get down to 55 if I take another fight there. But at the moment, until the baby's here, I'll be staying at 70.
Now, it seems like today in mixed martial arts, people really only respect the guys who are in the UFC. I mean, there's a lot of great fighters outside the UFC. We all know that, but you fought on The Ultimate Fighter. You fought Cody McKenzie to get in the house. You came up short. Is that your main goal, is to get back to the UFC, or are you looking to get to a bigger show, whether it be a Bellator, a Pro Elite, some place like that?
That was my biggest dream when I started in professional mixed martial arts, was obviously the UFC. It's the biggest stage. However, I think as I'm getting older, I'm really maturing and realizing how hard the road to get to that position is, how many guys are lined up to get there. And then once they make all the sacrifices and all the work that's required to get there, they're walking on eggshells when they get there, and they're getting paid 3 and 3. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be back in the UFC, but it's a long road to get there, and once you get there, 1 or 2 losses in a row could mean that you're back in the beginning of the line. And there's so many great fighters out there. There's such great talent out there. It's just really hard to funnel all the potential and athletes that we have through one organization like that. So right now, I'm just open to whatever comes my way, whether it's the UFC or Elite XC or Pro Elite, Bellator, whatever. Anything's fine. Anything that will pay the bills. But it's not. I'm no longer fixated on just one organization because I realize how much talent is out there, and once you get there, longevity is an issue.
In Michigan, there's not very many pro shows. How big of a problem is that, especially you say you coach a lot of guys, how difficult is that getting them fights if they have to go all over to get fights? And a lot of guys that aren't really known much, if they had a good base to be in Michigan, because a lot of guys who are 1-0, 2-0, they can't go to California because they won't sell as much tickets, and it's all about making money. How difficult is it to find fights?
Man, Mike, we're in a really tough spot. I don't think the general public understands. Like you said, if a guy's 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, whatever, chances of me being able to get him on a card out in California or Vegas or Florida or whatever are pretty slim, because they have access to a lot of local talent. You know what I mean?
Right.
So why would they spend the extra money on flying corners and fighters out from Michigan to compete on the card when they could save all that and probably pay half the purse to a local guy? A lot of good fighters here. It's really hard. I spend the majority of my time talking to promoters in different areas and trying to get our guys on the card. Dealing with promoters is one thing, but also now having to work with commissions and states that haven't had great record keeping
What exactly is the problem? Is it economy and people just aren't paying, and to run a pro show is very expensive? Is it that? Is it the athletic commission's not licensing fights? What exactly is the big issue?
Well, there's a lot of issues, and I mean, you hit on a couple of them, but think about it. If these guys are calling themselves professionals, they're going to fight 6 times a year. You know, that's good for a fighter, I think. Around here, you know, what are they getting paid? Are they going to get $12,000 for a year? Is that enough to sustain a family or sustain a living? I don't think so. So the money's not there for pro shows. It costs a ton to put on a show, so you can't really fault the promoters for that. A lot of it, I think, has to do with fighters being able to organize. I'm not talking about a union or anything, but kind of set standards and rates for guys coming out and getting better pay, better benefits. I mean, once we're done with our fighting careers, then what? There's no 501c3 there, or I'm sorry, 401k. You know, you're kind of on your own, self-employed, and then you gave the sport the best years of your life and better part of your health, and you don't have much that you're left with. There's obviously a few exceptions there, the higher-end fighters that are very banking each fight, but the majority of us, that's not the case.
Amir, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Real quick, before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank? Anything you want to say to the fans?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to thank everybody that came out to my last fight here. Appreciate all the fanfare and the support. Big thank you to Printer Chiropractor, Ref Gear, and Gameness. Those guys do a lot for myself and for the sport, as well as Grit Mouth Guards. And thank you, Mike, for having me on the show.
No problem. Amir, thanks a lot for taking the time. I appreciate it.